On the last episode, we sold 2 PC commissions and talked about how to best approach commissions. We talked about creating a brand, a website, a portfolio of previously sold PCs, etc. On this episode, we have 2 more commissions that we're going to be selling. The way that I got these was from previously sold listings. Now, usually what I do with listings that have been getting lots of traction is even after I've sold them, I'll usually leave them on for like a couple days after that I've sold them. So instead of making them pending or sold, I leave it on for a couple more days to just get more traction because these are potential buyers. And usually what happens is these people will write me, hey, is this still available? I'll explain to them, no, it just sold, but either I'll say I have more coming down the pipeline or we can build you one if you're interested. This is exactly how I got the 2 clients that we're going to be talking about in this video. Okay, enough setup. Let's go to the field. Welcome to the field. This isn't the usual field. What is this? Well, my friends, we're in Puerto Rico. All right, let's dive in because we got a plane to catch. So I got a message from someone on Facebook Marketplace who didn't have any profile picture, who didn't have any history when I clicked on their name. There was nothing on their wall, which looks a little conspicuous. They gave me their phone number, said to call them, that their son was looking for a PC. Now, usually with someone like this, I probably wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, but with this guy, I did. And you know why? Because his name seemed Turkish to me. Now, why does that matter? Because, my friends, I'm also Turkish. That's right. Fun fact of the day for you. So I called the guy, and thankfully he wasn't a scammer. It was just a Turkish dad who lives in the US, wants to buy his son a PC. So we connected over our shared heritage and talked about what sort of PC his son wanted. He said his son plays mostly the normal games, and the most demanding turned out to be Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, I have to admit, I've never played this game before, so I had to do a lot of research into what goes into what sort of parts that you need to play the game. And upon my research, I discovered that it's a rather hard to run game, which is kind of a bummer, but looked like you need a good CPU, a good GPU, and a minimum of 32 gigs of RAM. So I decided to build this one with a Ryzen 5 5600X, pair it with a 3060 Ti. Threw on the beautiful Thermalright Assassin X120 SE RGB for a nice tower cooling, which a single tower cooler is plenty for this CPU. And it adds insane aesthetics for just $20. We got 32 gigs of RAM at 3600 megahertz, since Ryzen likes the higher speeds. A B550 motherboard with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Cheapest turned out to be the MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi. A 1TB NVMe, just whichever reputable brand is the cheapest at the time. The Corsair CX750M, which again, just whichever is the reputable PSU is cheap at the time. And for the case, fish tank, the DIY PC ARGB Q3. Threw in the Thermalright fans that we always do. Some cable extensions, which we don't do a lot of in this channel, but I figured this build was more for a friend at this point than just for pure profit, so I'll throw some good aesthetics in there. The total cost was $744.62. Waves are coming in. Sold for $800. Net profit was $55.38. So as you can see, that's not really much of profit, especially considering how this build took me way longer than any other. And here are the 2 reasons why. First, because of the extra research that went into me figuring out what sort of parts to build for a PC that could play Microsoft Flight Simulator, to running a game that I'm not familiar with. This always takes more time. And the second is Murphy's Law. That's right, this should be the mantra of all PC flippers everywhere. It's a concept that states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and at the worst possible time. This is exactly what happened to me. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in a previous video, but one of the PC parts that I try to never buy used is the motherboards. And here are the 2 reasons why. Number 1, usually the price difference between a new and used is not that big to warrant buying used. And number 2, goes kind of into number 1 as well, is the motherboard is one of the parts that could go wrong the most, and there are a million different reasons that could be as to why, and this just takes a lot of time to diagnose. And with something like PC flipping that has such slim margins, you try to cut out as much time diagnosing anything as you can. Well, with this one, I bought a used B550 off of Woot for like $90 or something like that, but when I built everything, the PC had no display. And what's even worse is that this happened to be the night before this Turkish dad was going to come up pick up the PC. He was driving from 2 hours away. So I stayed up till like 3 a.m. the night before, diagnosing, researching, trying to do everything that I can, reseating components, BIOS, flash, updating drivers, everything. And it turns out that the motherboard would only boot with 1 stick, so I'm assuming that some of the RAM channels were messed up. So I had to postpone the meeting, order a new motherboard that cost like $120 new.
and move on and learn from my mistake. All right, the wind's kind of picking up, but I think we're fine.
All right, now that we're back in the US, we've got one more commission to sell, so let's talk about it. Just like the first commission, I kept a recently sold listing available for a couple extra days. A mom saw this PC that I had listed for $660 that had already had a buyer lined up. So she said if I could do $500, she offered $550 after that. And instead of telling her, no, sorry, I had someone lined up, and she was kind of lowballing a little bit, I kept the conversation open. This is what you should always do. Don't just discount people either when they lowball you. If it's ridiculous lowball, some people are just never going to learn. But if you already have a buyer lined up, or if you've already sold, keep the conversation going. You'll never know what it'll lead to. So in this case, I told her someone's already buying this one, but if you want me to build one for your son, I have a few more coming down the pipeline, or I can work with you to build you a specific one if you know his specific needs. So she said she'd buy it for $550 if the other person flaked. After the other person bought it, I came back to her and I said, hey, this PC is sold. Would you like for me to build one for your son? And guess what she said? She said that her husband had already bought one for her son from Amazon or somewhere, so my services were no longer needed. And what did I do? I gave up. Not. I asked a few questions to see if the PC that they bought would actually be good for their son, because I'm assumed at this point that very likely this was a pre-built PC from Amazon that was probably going to be horrible. So I told her that I'd be available as a local resource if they needed my help at any point. She said they didn't really know what they were doing. They just bought a PC off of Amazon and they'd reach back out if they needed any help. Literally the next day, she reached back out and said, hey, do you have another build in the $550 range? Because apparently they just canceled the other PC that they bought on Amazon. She explained that they canceled the previous order because her son liked the PCs that I built way more, I guess aesthetically, but also he started looking at the specs and realized that mine is way better for the price. I asked the usual questions that we do on this channel of aesthetics, what games he likes to play, and I told her to have her son go through my previously sold listings to kind of give me a better idea of not just the looks that he prefers, but also the specs. Since they'd already canceled a PC purchase, I was assuming that maybe the son did know a little more about the PC specs and what he wanted. So I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page so they could go back and look at what I'd sold and what would fit his criteria better. She then came back and asked if I could build her this one that had sold for $700 previously. You remember this one. This beauty we sold in our very first episode. If you haven't watched that one, go back and check it out. I told her we could jump on a call because at this point we'd been corresponding for so long that I just thought it'd be easier to talk over the phone than just keep texting. I had a great phone call discussion with these parents. They just wanted someone nice to work with that would provide their son a good PC that works well because their current one was not good. Do you want to know the specs of this PC? I alluded to this one in a previous episode, but this is his current PC, not the one that he'd canceled. A Ryzen 3100 paired with an RX 550. 2 gigabytes. 2 gigabytes. Yeah, horrible. They said they paid a little over $700 on Amazon for it a few months ago. They also asked, understandably, if they could use this as kind of a trade-in value to me or something, which I don't know how in the world you value a piece of trash like this, honestly. Shots fired! Sounds a little aggressive. Which, I don't know how you value something with those specs, but... So at this point, I knew they wanted to work with me. We'd been corresponding for a couple weeks now. I really did want to give them a good PC after hearing of the whole debacle of the PC that they'd canceled, the one that their son had now. I told them we could stick to the $700 budget that they most recently gave to me and build their son a beautiful fish tank, where we would do the classic Ryzen 5600 and RX 5700 XT combo. I sent over the part list, their son approved, and I got to building. I met with them within a few days of building this PC, and let me tell you, it was a whole family ordeal. The son was there, the mom was there, the dad was there. They gave me the old PC with the horrible specs as a trade-in, and they threw in a broken 49-inch ultra-wide curved monitor. This thing is insane. They said the panel was unfortunately broken like right in the middle where their son had hit it or something had happened to it, so I can't fix that, but I mean, they said they were just going to trash it, so I thought, yeah, I might as well play around with it. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do with that monitor. Build cost, $531.54. Sell price was $700, and profit was $168.46. So not the most incredible profit especially if you account for taxes, but I really wanted to help this family out. And they did, give a couple trade-ins. I figured the monitor is not really worth anything if it's broken. But I figured the PC that they gave to me, I could at least use for an ultra budget build. Maybe use the CPU and the motherboard at the very least. So I wager I could get, $100, $200 out of that for them. I didn't give them an exact price for what this trade-in would, knock off the price of the PC I'm selling them for, because honestly, I don't exactly know how much I could get out of it myself. Let me know in the comments what you think I should value this PC at or what I should do with these parts. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited this kid was. Just jumping up and down in joy, squealing. Honestly, it kind of makes me think about I'm kind of excited to give kids these PCs, like with the previous episode that we talked about, but maybe they should go outside and touch some grass. So I don't know if I'm enabling people in things that they shouldn't be enabled in, but that's too much to worry about, you know? I'm enjoying PC building. I'm enjoying the YouTube series, so... In the words of Lord Farquaad, it is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm just kidding. It's not that desperate. Anyway, that was a long episode for just 2 PC flipping commissions that we did. But honestly, I really wanted to structure it in this way to give you a true feeling and a good idea of how long and arduous this whole process can be. Sure, it can be exciting and thrilling, but there are a lot of issues that you can run into. Whether it be PCs not selling or people that say, you know, commission you for something, but they just take a long time to respond or decide not to buy it in the last minute. Or honestly, one of the worst, when you buy these used parts to cut back on costs and then they end up not working and you have to troubleshoot till 3 a.m. in the morning, and it's just... Anyway, but it's still a good hobby, and as long as you understand that it's not necessarily a huge moneymaker, you're doing this for fun, and it's honestly a good way to help some people out. Okay, what's next? Well, on the next episode, we're going back to our roots. Just some easy, fun flips. As you can see, commissions can be a little bit harder with specific specs, but with the normal PC flips that we build, it's just whatever I think is fun, whatever I have on hand, so it's a little bit easier. I really appreciate all of you watching. This is such a fun space for me to create and get to be creative with what I do and the storytelling aspect of the PC parts and PC flipping world, so I appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching.